Hey everybody, Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Intertalk Radio Network. You're into all things music. Hey, I'm rounding off this amazing 2 weeks of interviews with the group CAB, C-A-B. Started out with Mr. Virgil Donati. We went after that, went to Mr. Mitch Foreman, and then just recently with Mr. Julian Coryell. Today, we are going to wrap this up before our Saturday extravaganza called CAB, and it's a mixing of Feast and Fusion at the Newport Dunes in Newport Beach, California, sponsored by myself in association with Agenda Magazine and such. We're going to touch on a lot of subjects here. If I have a grimace look on my face, I'm out of my studio. The slave driver of a CEO brought me down to San Diego with a fractured hip, but don't worry about that. The attorney's on the phone here in about a half hour. So with that said, guys, I'm proud and I'm privileged again, too. This is actually our third talk. And we're going to talk deep about that, and we're going to have fun, and we're going to talk about how you, the listening public, our fans, the fans of, can enjoy all this massive talent this coming October 14th, Saturday, in Newport Dunes in Newport Beach, California, with Back Bay Bistro. And we're proud to introduce this amazing consortium of Feast and Fusion. I love the combo double entendre there because a fusion of music, a fusion of different tastes of music, different tastes of food. And with Mr. Bunny Brunel, I'm going to be honest with you. I was shocked. I know how Bunny is as a master and an award-winning bassist, Grammy award-winning bassist, but I did no idea that he was a master chef. And so, as we said with Cedric earlier, we're gonna put it up because he not only does he cook on bass, he cooks behind the stove. So with that said, I want everybody to welcome with open arms and open ears to Jackie's Groove, Mr. Bunny Brunel, and Miss Kaylene Peoples. Hi, sweetheart.
Hi.
That's for her, not you, Bunny.
Okay, I'm glad.
Absolutely. So
I was getting worried.
Absolutely. I'm telling you, you know what? We've had a fun. Actually, I commandeered last year Florentino's show with you on the Changing Stage. We got along so well that we brought you back in. Was it this year? This year we brought it in.
Yeah.
And then when we got together with this beautiful, beautiful arrangement at the Back Bay Bistro, I said, yes, I'm definitely down with this.
So, very good.
Yeah, man. So do me a favor. I'm just going to move over this because people know about you. Let's step all the way over and just talk about food.
Okay,
Please, Bunny Brunel.
Well, talking about food, I need some questions, So people wonder, for instance, I can tell, how come, I play the bass and all that, I'm a musician. Well, it's just when you're young, your family wants you to have a job.
Right.
If you like it, it cannot be a job, so you got to be something.
Absolutely.
That's how they think, So anyway, I went into a very famous college of hotel, in the south of France called École Hôtelière de Nice, in Nice, France. And, I learned about everything about hotels, from cleaning the rooms to the director to the accounting, I actually could have been an accountant. I'd learned how to do that. But, part of it was the cooking. And that's why I liked it, because that was the artistic part, So when I ended up working on some famous hotel restaurants in the south of France and things like that for a while, And then I decided to, to go back to what I wanted to do, which is playing music. Actually, I was playing with there was a band in college, and I was part of the band. That's, And so I ended up, leaving the kitchen alone and, cooking on the bass.
Let me ask you this question, too. Again, on the screen right here, CAB. It's an acronym for what?
Well, at the beginning, I thought when I was contacted by the record company wanted to do that, I thought, you say, we're going to do with Tony McAlpine, Dennis Chambers, made a band, so I figured Chambers, McAlpine, and the Bunny Brunel, I say CAB. But I didn't know that McAlpine is in one word, so the initial of his name is actually an M. So I say, CAB sounds good, It's just like we're going somewhere with it. So.
Yeah, and I love the CAB because CAB is my wife's initials. Oh. So it's easy for me to understand that itself. But I have to ask this question. When you were doing the food situation at the hotels, various hotels through Nice, were you already known as a bass player, or were you fledgling at that time?
No, I was just, when I was doing the cooking and all that, I was just playing some gigs after that with, some friend of mine that used to be at the École Hôtelière as well. That's where I started with them. And then we had a trio, jazz trio, was playing acoustic bass, and we played Oscar Peterson music and things like that, Dave Brubeck. And used to do and play some gigs like that. And I kept doing gigs right and left and all that. But then one day I decided, I wanted, because I used to listen to bass solos, And by the way, I was playing electric bass as well. And I was listening to those bass solos that sounded like a mystery to me, bing, doom, bam, bing,
Right.
And I wanted to play, because I play piano, and I wanted to solo like a Herbie Hancock or John Coltrane, and that's what I wanted to do. So I started practicing on the bass to be able to do that. So I was just practicing scales and playing phrasing and things like that. And I kept doing that, I was practicing 8 hours a day or something. And then one day a friend of mine put a record for me. He said, listen to that guy. And he put a record. It was Bill Evans' trio with Eddie Gomez, and it was a bass solo. He plays Amber Sable U. He started by himself and said, listen to that. That showed me that I was in the right direction, So I kept going, because I do not play like him, but I love definitely. I definitely love Eddie Gomez. It's like an amazing player. And I ended up meeting him later on. It was funny in Germany, and just talking to him. It's funny because he was just talking to me. It was very nice. And then he said, I'm sure you're a great bass player. So I said, no, thank you. It was like, And it's funny because a few years later, I met him at the Chick Corea when I was with Chick Corea, and Chick was recording 3 quartets, and Eddie came to play. And he got in the studio, and he recognized me immediately. He said, you see, I told you were a great bass player.
What's the timeline on this? What's the years?
Oh, the timeline. It's 1976 when I met Eddie Gomez,
And it's amazing when somebody as prolific as this man next to me compliments another bass player. That's about as much credence as you need to keep going. I myself, as a percussionist, bass I love because Bunny is a very percussive bass player. And I mean that as an absolute compliment because I've been blessed to work with, again, the Brian Brombergs and the Benny Sylvettes from Santana,
yes,
and so on. But the vibe that you bring to the bass, I say this, and we talked about that before we started. As I said to you, Al Dimeola said to say hi to you before. Actually, he's in the air right now going back to Germany.
All right.
He said this one great line, and I say this over again. He said this with Stanley Clarke, your friend also.
That's right.
Fusion is in a state of confusion. and I kind of had a furrowed brow because people who know Jackie, I don't like the word smooth jazz.
Yeah, definitely not.
It killed itself, And
I usually tell people I'm playing rough jazz.
Absolutely. And I mean that because, as I said, I want to find out, and so do the listeners and the fans around the world, do you put as much passion in your cooking as you do in playing bass?
Well, it's the same thing, You're doing something and you're doing the best you can, and you put love into it, and that's what it tastes good or sound good because you're really doing it 200%.
Well, let me ask this question. Kaylene, Mitch, Virgil, Julian, would you consider them, and I'm going to kind of play a little word out here, would you consider them the sous chefs when it comes to having your group of people like that?
Yeah,
Go ahead and tell me you like that.
It's not even that. It's everybody's got is a chef, It's just, and always leave the room for everybody to express themselves the way they are. That's why I would like to have, keyboard solos, guitar solos, just by themselves, drum solo for people to appreciate how great these musicians are.
But when you're on stage, you're a front. That's your people are coming to see the name on the marquee. When you're in the kitchen, are you the front man in that kitchen?
Well, it's just if you're working in a restaurant, in a big kitchen, and you're the chef. The chef is the one giving directions, and the people pick it up and keep going. It's just if I start doing something, I start doing it. The guy picks up the thing and starts cutting the potatoes or whatever it is. The chef is the one that gives the direction. And all the people are picking up and cooking, and making the thing, and then you taste and you say, oh yeah, we got to do that. That's how it works in the kitchen. In the playing. It's just a support also for every musician support the other one. If there's a guitar solo, we are supporting the guitar solo, like he's the chef. Mm-hmm. There is a piano solo, we're supporting the piano solo. He's the chef. Then the drum solo, we're supporting the drum. You know what I mean? It's the positions switch and changes. I'm not the one, telling everybody to do that.
Right,
when it comes to jazz, it's definitely you have to let people take over, and do their best. That's why I played with some musicians. I'm not going to mention the name that they were like. It was hard to play with them because they want to control everything. There's some people that are controlling. Oh, you got to play that. They tell them the drummer, oh, you have to play that. And I'm sorry. It doesn't matter how good you are, of a pianist, for instance.
Dig it.
You're not going to play the drums better than a drummer. Give him the idea, the direction where you want to go, and let him do it his way. That's how Quincy Jones works, by the way. He's not behind the players with a gun telling them you got to play the bass drum, that right there. No, it chooses the right musician, give the idea, and it let them do it their way. And that's the way Miles Davis was working. That's the way Chick Corea works. That's the way Herbie Hancock works. All those great musicians, that's what they do. Okay. Joe Zawinul, all those people are like that. Wayne Shorter, they come in and they have something, they give you the idea, but they let you interpret it the way you are, and that's what's important.
See, and that's a great thing that you brought up here, because I want to ask you the situation. I asked you this in our last interview, and you laughed at it. I ask all the head guys, the people above the marquee. I know you as a person. I know your personality. We get along great. But I have not been in the studio with you. The point I ask all the above the marquee A-list players, are you easygoing in the studio? And I asked you this, I'm going to pry on your memory, or are you an asshole? And I mean that.
No. I'm always nice because I want people to play, to put their flavor. It's like they put their own flavor in there. You have to let them do it. That's the problem. For instance, I come from France. I used to work in Paris because that's where all the recording sessions at the time were. I used to go, with my bass, at a Precision 1965, I still have it. I used to go sit in a studio, you have the chart and all that. You plug your bass in a direct box, put headphones, and then you playing. They used to record, the rhythm section first. So there was drums, bass, and they used to have no piano, because they say that because I show you with your hand. No, they had a guy with an acoustic guitar strumming, and they were not going to use that guitar, just to have the chords going like that. And they write the part. They were writing the bass line and the drum part. And then they're wondering why doesn't sound as good as Quincy Jones. Because Quincy Jones doesn't do that. He let the drummer play. If you have a feel with the whole orchestra, they write it down, but they let the drummer play in between. And same thing with the bass. You have an idea of a kind of bass line he wants, but he lets the guy playing. That's why they sound fantastic. Same thing with Chick Corea. I remember the first tune I recorded with Chick Corea on the album Secret Agent was Central Park. Okay, I arrived, it's funny because I didn't sleep for 33 hours. They took me to the studio immediately. It was a studio on Sunset Boulevard. And so I went over there and, you get in, called by Chick Corea. Doesn't matter if you slept or not, you're going to play.
Sure, absolutely.
And I was there. I was totally awake and playing, And that's the first song we played. And he had a bass line written, and I read the bass line he was saying. And then I say, can I change the bass line? He said, oh, yeah. So, and I changed it because for some reason he wrote a kind of a Cuban bass line, but it was not really going with whatever they were playing. Right. So I played something that matched better, and he let me do it. It sounds great. He let me do because he understood, yeah, that's great. And that's the way people should do. You going in the studio, recording something, and you write the thing down, because if it's a special line, you want to groove. But if the guy can do something, he shows you, can I try that? And if it sounds better, let him do it.
Okay, so in a parallel correlation then, I know there's a gaggle of players out there that want to play with Bunny Brunel. When Bunny hires those players, you mentioned earlier, the aforementioned Dennis Chambers, now with Virgil Donati, do you go after your assistants, your other people in the kitchen? Do you go there and choose them because of their abilities, because you want to work with them?
Yes, it's just like it has to be a certain level, of players to be able to play the music I play anyway. Of course. And it's got to be up there, So especially for drummers, you got to have somebody who really can cut the cake. And that's why Dennis Chambers was the original one. And after that, he went with Santana for quite a while.
Absolutely.
So, and we switched with Virgil Donati. It was amazing. And the other night, we played the baked potato, and unfortunately, Virgil had kidney stones. So he called, called in sick. So I called Chad Wackerman. We're talking about somebody that can read the chart. He doesn't have to rehearse. You give him the chart, that guy just reads the chart, and it's killer, just killing the sound, the soul, everything, just fantastic. So you need somebody up on that level in order to play that type of music.
And I also want to say congratulations, Dennis. I'm glad you're back in health, and I'm glad you're back on the throne again. As we're getting older, we're respecting the things that we neglected as youngins, the things we do and so on. So I want to ask you a question, going back to this instrument, this utensil, if you will. What are you doing different now as a gentleman we're in the same age bracket, that you didn't do back then? Are you making sure that your fingers are lucid? Are you making sure that your mind is lucid before you go on stage or before you go in the studio?
Well, always, you got to keep practicing.
Of course.
Because you got to get the muscle memory working. You cannot just stop, because then you cannot play those things anymore. I'm listening to some of the stuff I recorded, and it's so fast. Everything is fast. I used to play everything fast. So the new thing is I'll slow down a little bit. Because I don't think it's necessary to play everything at 1,000 miles an hour. But it's quite amazing. I listen to the stuff, you say, oh my God, it's the speed, And you have to keep practicing, you know. It's just there's no in between, you know. More you practice, better you can play. It's not to play fast all the time.
No, of course.
It's just to be able to play what you want when you want it.
Dynamics.
That's what it is. The right feel, the right groove, and things like that. And that's what we keep doing. And hopefully we find new ideas. There's not really much change in the music. It's just new composition, and you keep going. I'm not really trying to, introduce new things. People say, "Oh yeah, or maybe you should put a rapper on that."
Right.
No, I'm not going to put a rapper on the music, you know. So anyhow, that's basically I do whatever I like, whatever excites me.
You know, and we're gonna pick this up on the next segment because again, I want to go back and forth on the correlation between cooking on bass and cooking in the kitchen.
Okay.
I think it's very important. I want to find out what you don't like to cook. Is there a certain food, a genre, a background? Don't answer that now, but let's talk about that, and also let's correlate it back. What music you don't like playing, also. So with that said, guys, I'm out of my wheelhouse. I'm looking at the camera. I'm looking at my producers, and as soon as I hear my music come up itself, we're going to come back on the second segment on Jackie's Groove. My name is Jackie Bertoni, brought to you by Intertalk Radio Network. You're into all things music. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Mr. Bunny Brunel and Miss Kaylene Peoples. Don't go anywhere, guys.
Its edges folded in the corners, faded sepia brown, and yet it's all I have of our passing love, a postscript to its ending. Brighter days, I can see such brighter days, when every song we sing is sung again, and now we know this time it's for good, and we're lovers once again. And you're near me. I can remember the rainy December, the leaves were brown on the ground. In Spain I did love and adore you. The nights filled with joy were our yesterdays, and tomorrow will bring you near me. I can recall my desire, every reverie is on fire, and I get a picture of all our yesterdays. Yesterday I can say, I get a gig every time they played at Spain again. I can remember the rainy December, the leaves were brown on the ground. Our love was a Spanish fiesta. The bright lights and songs were our joy each day, and the nights were the heat of yearning. I can recall my desire, every reverie is on fire, and I get a picture of all our yesterdays. Yesterday I can say, I get a kick every time I see you gaze at me. I see moments of history. Your eyes meet mine, and they dance to the melody, and we live again as if dreaming. The sound of our hearts beat like castanets, and forever we'll know their meaning. I can recall my desire, every reverie is on fire, and I get
Back to Jackie's Groove. I'm Jackie Bertoni. This conglomeration is called Intertalk Radio Network. I'm sitting next to the most gorgeous Bunny Brunel. There you go. And the lovely Kaylene Peoples. Hey, you know, when we went on the last, don't interrupt me, this is my show. When we took a break on the last minute here, I was asking about the situation of, and we won't mention names, people we do like to play with, people we don't like to play with. But I want to move it back to the situation. Food. Are you an open-minded, non-prejudiced person to all styles of food, or what don't you like to cook?
Well, you know, I can cook any French food. You know, after the other one, it's not because I don't like it, because I don't really know really how to do this. You know?
Right.
It's just like you have this great cooking. You have you know, Japanese cooking, Chinese cooking, Thai cooking, you know, Mexican cooking, you know, Portuguese cooking. You know, they all have a specialty. Brazilian cooking, you know, but you know, I leave that for the people that are used to that to do. You know, I just do the French cooking, and I usually can do anything. If there's something that I don't remember really, I have a little book which has I open it and I can find the really abbreviated. So, oh yeah, I understand. You know, and I can, you know, look at it and do it. But usually I like the south of France cuisine because that's where I'm from, and I like to introduce a few of the things to people who never had before, because it's a specialty, you know, and it's always fun. But I love the cuisine from Lyon, you know, which is all with butter and cream. Or, you know,
all low
different,
fat, right?
Yeah, it's just for the kind of thing you don't want to, if you're in a diet, forget it.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, they have a great food all over France. They have specialties doing things. You know, I really love escargot de Bourgogne. You know, it's from Burgundy. You know, it's delicious. But they have a recipe of escargot in Nice with tomatoes, of course.
Of course.
You know, and all that. That it is very nice. But I you know, comparing, I like the you know, the one with the butter and the garlic better, you know. So,
You know, if you guys, I don't know how much you're seeing the screen that's behind Kaylene and Bunny, but this food right now, none of us have eaten because we're not allowed to eat, and that's part of the Intertalk Radio Network contract. But the thing is, what I'm looking at here, I cannot wait to sample these goods because we are not, as musicians, I'm not going to be eating hot dogs and mac and cheese at this venue.
No,
you know,
definitely not.
We talked about on the break before this, and I want to say this again. We mentioned all the luminaries that this man has graced or has graced his album. We talked about a gentleman, a friend of ours called Al Jarreau. And,
That's right.
And I brought this up because Kaylene was singing this amazing rendition of Spain. I asked her, I said, are you familiar with the Stevie Wonder version? Of course. But Al's version rips my heartstrings out. And we're proud here at Intertalk. I don't know if we're proud to put it on our roster, but Al was one of the last interviews that we had at our home. And I always said, and I played vocal percussion, he played vocal bass. And if I never played music from that day forward, I was a happy man. We lost Al on February the 12th of 2017, and then a week later, we lost the legend, Larry Coryell.
But before that, you lost Alphonse Mouzon.
Yeah, and Al was on our show also.
Exactly. And what's terrible, I went to play at in the chapel. We were playing with Larry in front of the casket, of Alphonse Mouzon. And just a couple of weeks later, Larry passed away. We were really flabbergasted because we had no idea.
And I don't want to just bring this on a downer, but I was having spinal surgery last year. I got a great messenger from Facebook Messenger from Alphonse. And Alphonse said to me, Brother Jackie, I get a little choked up. When I get back from Mexico, we're going to pick up our interview. We're going to share the stage again. You're going to have your ass behind percussion. I'm going to have myself back on my throne. Yeah. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. So, guys, if you get a chance to do it now, we're not getting any younger. We got to be thankful for what we have, But I want to uplift the situation right now. I just don't want to bring it down because, you know what? I have an animal sitting right next to me right now. And this is nobody rides for free, brother. So if you'd be so kind to grace the audience worldwide right now with a little bit of playing. Cedric, can you help us out on this?
All right.
And what song are we playing, kids?
We're going to play something called Prankster from one of the Cab albums.
Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bunny Brunel.
Here we go. Let's have fun.
You know, as it is said, the old saying, cooking with jazz, man, let me just tell you, beautiful. You know, again, I always said to Bunny on the last interviews, I've never had a chance to play with you live, thanks to LP, my company, and the Scharf Shake. I hope you don't mind that I had to jump in there because that groove was something fierce. Now, do me a favor, you talked about one of the original albums, Cab. Who were the players on that track?
Well, you have Virgil Donati is the drummer.
Okay.
And you have Tony McAlpine on the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And then on a keyboard, on this particular one, it's Brian Auger, I believe.
You know, and so based upon this, on coming on October the 15th, the whole thing about we're doing here is the Feast and Fusion and starring Cab, Bunny Brunel, and again, Kaylene Peoples, Virgil Donati, Mitch Foreman, Julian Coryell. You know, that's the whole vibe that we're putting together. It's a mishmash of great food together, great playing together. What are we looking for? What are we going to be in the way of your menu? What are we looking for on the menu for that night?
Well, you know, I decided to do a specialty from, this is the northwest, coast of France that is called Armorique. Armorique. That's where the American, landed when they came to rescue us. That's called Armorique. That's the place. So I'm making an Armorican sauce. It's from that region with some big shrimp.
Ingredients in the sauce?
Well, basically you have a shrimp.
Right.
You have like a tomato paste. It's got shallots.
Mm-hmm.
It's got carrots, garlic, and it's got some fish stock that I'm bringing because it's not something you can find everywhere. That makes really the sauce really so special. Tastes very good. And salt, pepper, and that's big, and flambe with cognac.
Now, are you having, again, this is because I was a former cook at Reuben's years ago, anywhere near the echelon of yourself. But are you bringing prep chefs with you? Or are you doing all the prepping there at the kitchen?
I'm actually I'm doing everything over there. I'm just bringing the fish stock, the right kind,
And
so
why is that? Educate me on that.
Because it takes a while, You need to have a big pan. You put all fish heads in there. You put some onions with some cloves in there, carrots, and salt, pepper, and you let the thing boil forever until it comes down to a reduction. So it's really concentrated. So that takes too long to do that. So
Right.
let's just bring that.
Well, yeah, and Bunny, I want to find out a question too. You mentioned earlier about Chad Wackerman, amazing man that can read the back of a milk carton.
Yes, that's right.
And do that. So with that said, when you are hired as Bunny Brunel, as a bass player, as a sideman, now how much preparation, if you're being hired for maybe a style of music that you don't necessarily specialize in the kitchen, if someone comes to you and wants you to prepare a menu on something that you're not really versed on, is there a quote-unquote chart?
Yeah, there's always something. You can just look for the recipe and being a chef, the basic of cuisine. So you understand when you see a preparation, some people may look at it, oh yeah, you're gonna put some, okay, you're putting some flour and butter, and then you're gonna put some milk, and for them it looks something separate. From me, it's look at it, oh, it's a bechamel sauce, okay. That got, I can see what it is, and I know, looking at what the ingredients are, I have an idea of what it is and how it's going to be going, With the music, as people give you a chart, I used to play, as I say, in Paris. I was in Paris because of the sessions.
Right.
And I used to come and play whatever they want me to play. So I'm very versatile playing any styles, I had some preferences. I like to play jazz and Brazilian music and things like that. But I like some rock and roll stuff. For me, I love the Mountain, Leslie West, So that's why, in fact, I tell people it's funny because, record company they want the young guns to play things like that. They have people who sings and play guitar. And it's funny, the level, it's just went down really drastically. They have some good players, but nobody plays like Alvin Lee and sing like that, or, Leslie West. They don't have the sound, just sound on the guitar and the voice and the thing. These people were like really, really special, So I like that kind of music, and I would play some of that. People come play some, I will record things like that, and I've played every style.
I love that you said that you kind of a nice little segue here. Let's go to the new generation of cab. Let's go to the current lineup. Mm-hmm. Would you share with me what made you choose those players and why?
Because there's just great players, individual players.
Let's start with Julian Coryell.
Julian Corea, I used to play with his dad all the time, and as I mentioned, you have a lot of musicians that have children, but for some reason the DNA doesn't go over,
right.
Maybe it's not DNA, it's something else. And in the case of Julian, it's just like Larry. He plays like Larry. It's really so close, to the dad. He's got the same craziness when he goes into a solo, and that was Larry. Larry would just go, and just like, and I like that because he's got that. He has all that thing. It's great. He's got a beautiful sound, and a very nice person. But that's what it is. He's just like somebody who has a personality. He just has a personality, and he's not afraid to step in. Some people, they have good players, but they kind of, just play good and nothing. Yeah. No, he's got the balls, I would say. The guy's just
and that's perfect because if you guys get a chance to go on to jackiesgroove.com, scroll down to episodes on demand, and look for my interview last week with Julian Coryell. Julian told me something that was very cool. I said, the quintessential, the musical apple didn't fall too far from the tree. Obviously, but based upon that, he told me that he was a student of Berkeley at the age of 16, and he did an advanced course to get out of 2 years. His dad said, you don't want to quit the situation. And I said, speaking of dad, above us, when you're up playing, and you're in the middle of, and you're playing with Bunny, and you're at the baked potato, do you feel your dad floating above you? He goes, Jackie, my dad is on my shoulder. I said, what's he saying to you? He's saying, stop playing so much. and I know that's I could hear him say that, and he goes, I want to look up and go, it's my gig, Dad, and so he's an amazing player, and he will be there on Saturday, October the 14th at the Back Bay Bistro. I want to keep saying Backstreet Bistro, but
it's
Back Bay Bistro. Now, okay, so we talked about Julian. Let's go over to Mitch Foreman.
Oh, Mitch Foreman played with a lot of fusion guys, and the guy's wonderful, really amazing player. He can read the charts very well, and I say the kind of charts that with cab is not especially easy or whatever music. And the guy can really play, and I always have him playing a keyboard solo by himself, and he comes out with such beautiful stuff. It's gorgeous. The he's got so musical taste is fantastic. So really like the guy, and he's very fun as well. This is a great player that played with a lot of greats anyway. So the guy is definitely up there.
Also on Jackie's Groove, episodes of The Man, check out Mitch Foreman's interview with myself also. Now let's go over to the crazy Italian/Australian from down under.
Yeah, the man with 7 arms and 8 feet, whatever.
Mr. Virgil Donati. Let's talk about him.
Incredible. So the guy is master. He's just do stuff that other people, all the drummer, they're wondering how the hell he can do it. You know, I remember doing a session like that for a French singer, and he had an idea of having a rhythm at the beginning. You know, it was a, you know, at the beginning that he wanted to record that, and then when he comes into the tune, then it was ding, tack, ding, da. You know, just going. That was the thing, and Virgil say, "Oh no, I'll play it at the same time." And the singer he's gonna, yes.
Scared to death, yeah.
Yeah, no, he plays the intro like that, and at the same time start playing the other rhythm. And there is a tune like that. We played on an album of mine called Elizu Revisited. You know, the introduction of Stratus. That's what he does. He start playing one rhythm, and then he introduced the other rhythm with with one side with the other snare on. You know, it's just like, and he plays the other one. It's totally like lopsided, you know.
Man.
And then finally everybody goes in the thing. No, he can do stuff that is totally ridiculous.
And we talked about on the interview is like when he gets crazy, he gets manic. It's almost like Alan Holdsworth, God rest his soul, would walk off stage because it was just that crazy itself. Okay, now I want everybody to be jealous, especially the men out there in the worldwide itself. I'm going to get out of you because you know we'll talk about you and why you chose you to play bass, but I want to talk about this lady that's sitting next to you.
That's right. Well,
gentlemen, she looks jealous. She is. I don't know if she walked out of the magazine of Vogue or whatever it may be, but the girl has got chops. She's got a voice, and we're going to talk about her magazine called Agenda. We'll talk about that on the next set. But I want to ask you a question as a youngin' because you're not old like us, okay? What is it like right now when people found out that you are now part of CAB, working with the legendary Bunny Brunel? How jealous were your associates in the business that you got this gig? And how do you feel about that?
That's a good question, actually. I deal with jealousy constantly anyway, amongst colleagues, and I've played it down. Like, I haven't really, announced anything. I haven't, I'll just say, oh, I'm sitting in on a CAB gig. I mean, that's pretty much what I'm doing because...
Baby girl, I'm going to interrupt you for a second, okay, because the production team is doing this. I don't have a clock in front of me.
Okay.
So we're going to pick this up because I want to spend some time on this. We're going to get back on the segment number 3 on Jackie's Groove. I'm Jackie Bertoni. This is Intertalk Radio Network into all things music. This is Kaylene Peoples. This is Mr. Bunny Brunel. We come back on the next segment. We're going to pick it up about what it's like to play with this man next to me. Guys, don't go anywhere. Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you on Intertalk Radio Network. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a short break. Stay tuned. Everybody, welcome back to segment number 3 of Jackie's Groove. I'm Jackie Bertoni. This is Intertalk Radio Network, into all things music. I'm sitting here talking to the man, Mr. Bunny Brunel. One of these days, he's going to get to understand this thing called bass. I know he will. And
Hopefully.
Hopefully. When we left on the last break, I rudely interrupted this beautiful lady next to me, next to Bunny, across from me, Kaylene Peoples. Kaylene, I was asking you the question about, and I mean that as a good jealousy, with the players out there that know that you're actually now playing with Bunny. What's the overall synopsis of that? Do you still pinch yourself realizing the fact that you're playing with Bunny Brunel?
It hasn't hit me yet because it's otherworldly when I'm on stage with him. Just to be even playing with him, with his music, is unbelievable for me because I remember, we know that I published a magazine, and one issue I was putting our special editions out, and I was editing just the layout, and I just needed to hear music. And he had given me everything from the beginning of his career to up to the last CD at that point, and I had just played them all while I was editing. And when it was done, I was like, this man is a musical genius. I mean, and I don't say that lightly. No, it's the truth.
Why are you laughing?
If people are too nice, then
No. See, I'm not even being nice. That's the thing. I don't give compliments. I tell the truth. And then I remember telling him, I said, oh my gosh. Like every single one, I heard the progression of how where he came, and even when the starting part was just like, I have never seen anybody play a bass or any stringed instrument.
You dig?
To that level. And I've seen some amazing people. I give credit where credit's due. There's some incredible bassists out there.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
when Bunny played on my album, I didn't even know who he was. I'm going to be honest, because it wasn't my world. I didn't understand fusion when I do straight ahead jazz and classical jazz, so I didn't. And he was playing bass, and I was like, whoa. And so I Googled him.
Absolutely.
And I was like, oh my God. And then when I heard his music, like his fusion, because he was playing jazz for me, he wasn't playing fusion. But the things he even did in this recording studio with his upright bass, I mean, I've been in orchestras, I've written symphonies. I mean, I've seen some good players.
Absolutely.
I have never, and I still haven't seen anybody of that level. And to be able to be on stage playing his music with these incredible musicians, it's a dream. I'm sorry, it's a dream.
Yeah, I want to say something. You just mentioned the fact about you didn't know who he was, or you Googled him. And then, of course, you're inundated with page after page after page. My sister-in-law, Lori, she's coming this weekend. My brother-in-law is a drummer also, and he cannot wait to meet Virgil, to see the situation. My sister-in-law said to her husband, I don't know if anybody in Newport Beach is really going to love the taste of Bunny, meaning food. She thought we were cooking rabbit. And we had to qualify, and then Greg looked at her. Greg looked at her and he goes, honey, it's Bunny Brunel. And she looked at it, the kind of, and she shook her head. In fact, Bunny, would you be so kind? Can you give me that magazine right there, one of the agendas, please? Yeah, again, there's no free ride here on Intertalk Radio. What this is, I want to talk about this because this is the magazine that is responsible for, or the woman next to me is responsible for this magazine called Agenda, available everywhere books are sold, as you say, nowadays, or online. And through, of course, I'm sure, the wonderful card that sits in between here and falls out as you're opening it. So I want to talk more about this. We're going to get to the music side of it.
Okay.
But I want to talk about your involvement. We know what your involvement is, but I want you to educate the listeners out there exactly what it is that you do for Agenda.
I am the publisher and editor-in-chief, and I'm also one of the journalists. So I do the layout. I choose all the photos. I make all the decisions that go in that magazine.
And what is Agenda? But what is it? When you're going to Agenda, what are you going to? Is it everything like a melding of all lifestyles and such? Explain to us what Agenda really is.
Agenda magazine is a fashion and lifestyle magazine. And when I say that, I would say it's a combination between Vogue, New Yorker, and Vanity Fair.
Very cool.
Very glossy, high-end photography, the top-of-the-line runway throughout the world with the most, many of my photographers have graced the pages of Vogue and covers of all of the top Condé Nast magazines.
Beautiful.
My former managing editor was the founding photographer of Getty Wire Images. So that's just to sneeze.
I knew I made it recently because a friend of mine sent me a picture. You made Getty. And it's nice to see a picture of myself with the Getty line across it. That I knew I stepped forward itself. I want to ask you a question with regards to Agenda and educate me and the listeners also. Is this a monthly mag that comes out?
It is now. We just released our first monthly.
Congratulations.
This month.
What is your subscription? How many units are you shipping or printing on a monthly basis?
Well, the way we're doing it, and it's a little backwards because I'm online. So I don't necessarily have the subscriber base yet.
Okay.
But I didn't want to wait till I was...
We're going to help with that, guys.
I didn't want to wait till I was gray and in a crane to get it. So I said, I'm just going to put the cart before the horse on this one, do my passion. I'm taking Bunny's advice and doing what excites me and what excited me with the idea of having a monthly.
Absolutely.
So I went ahead and put the cart before the horse and said, you know what? I'm just going to do it because if I keep talking about it and I keep thinking about it, it'll never happen. So I decided I'm doing a monthly. I decided that this summer that I'm just going to go for it. I didn't even start with the subscriber base for the monthly yet, so it's going to sort of probably be a slow grow. We have over 3 million readers online. We have over 200,000 articles translated monthly internationally. We're translated in 48 languages. So I think that, at this point, I'm the machine behind the magazine, so I'm not necessarily pulling in anybody's finances. It's my own baby.
God bless you, girl.
So I'm not like biting my nails, am I going to be able to make the next issue when I'm financing it?
And it goes hand it goes right in line. Someone asked me, 30 years as one of the A players, musicians, percussionists in the industry, why is it that it seems like radio has been in your blood all these years? The CEO, Florentino, said the reason why your draw worldwide is so strong is because of your passion. It's not the fact that I went to a broadcasting school and so on and so forth. I got into it. So that fact, was a magazine always your dream as a little girl itself? There you go.
When I was 17 years old and I was the co-anchor of our high school anchor team, news team, one of my really good friends that I grew up with and I were we were at this college, at the high school. He was a senior, I was a junior. And I said, I want to have a fashion magazine because I used to read Vogue and Teen magazine. Yeah. And he goes, I know, we should have a fashion magazine. I said, I know, we should call it Agenda. And I remember when the opportunity came for me to start the magazine, the only name that came into head was that, because I had been waiting for that moment to when I was going to do it, but I never knew when it was going to happen. And it happened in 2004. It was like, that's when it happened. And that was like years after I graduated.
Kaylene, look at that camera right there and give the URL for Agenda, please.
To find Agenda Magazine, it's www.agendamag.com. So mag, short for magazine.com. And if you just Google Agenda Magazine, it's the first thing that comes up on Google as well.
Good.
So.
And I want to ask you this question. I've asked, everybody that I interview, regardless if I know them or not. Growing up, where were you born, where were you raised, and did you ever grow up, as they say?
I was born on an Army base in Fort Ord.
Okay.
My dad was, and it's funny because my initials are KP, and he said he always ended up in Kitchen
KP,
Patrol,
yeah.
so he wondered if I was by accident, like in the back of his mind.
Right.
But I was, Orange County is where I was, grew up and went to school, and I did the whole thing. I did beauty pageants in Orange County, everything. I modeled in Orange, everything. So. What
was coming through the speakers at the people's home growing up? What was being shoved down your throat, or what were you being encouraged by? What was mom and dad listening to?
As far as music, or?
Absolutely.
My dad used to wake me up out of bed when I was 8 years old, and he would sit down with B.B. King on the piano and start playing B.B. King.
Dig it.
Make me get my flute. I'm 9, whatever. 9.
Right.
It was probably 9. Made me get my flute and play my flute and learn how to improvise with and my mother would get so mad, like, because I was a kid and I had to go to school, and my dad was so into music, like, even when he was he was the head of his high school band where he started the band. He lived in a tiny town called Shady Grove, in Louisiana, and he was the one that started the high school band.
Oh, cool.
And he plays by ear. He doesn't even read, but he blues and jazz, and we used to do cross country trips, and we would listen to. Trying to think, the names are escaping me. I forget the name. Who's
No worries.
The dance one. It was like dance jazz.
Lee Morgan.
Yeah, those styles. I mean, I'm sorry, it was just I couldn't think
It's
of it at
okay.
the moment. And I remember being a kid, sitting in a 2-day cross-country road trip to Louisiana, listening to this stuff over and over again. And that was my dad and my mom just loved that. And so it was always in me. And so my mother has had a very good voice, but she was a smoker, so she stopped really singing.
Right.
So it come, they always ingrained, and music was really taken very seriously by both my parents.
And if I can, Cyrus and Seth, are we locked up and queued up for her? Because I want the listening audience worldwide. We'll come back to the instrument, but I want to hear this instrument itself. We're going to go to a little more of a mellow ballad, if you will, and I want to introduce the song, and we'll cue it up.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
I'm doing a very famous song, the most famous song, in fact, by Billy Strayhorn, "Lush Life." It's jazz staple.
Cool. Gentlemen.
I used to visit all the very gay places, those come what may places, where one relaxes on the axis of a wheel of life to get the feel of a life from jazz and cocktails. The girls I knew had sad and selling great faces with distinguished traces. We used to be there, you could see where they were washed away. Back to many through the day. 12 o'clock days. Then you came along with your siren song. Tempt me to madness. I thought for a while that your poignant smile was tinged with the sadness of a great love for me. Oh yes, I was wrong. Again I was wrong. How could I have been so wrong? Life is lonely again, and only last year everything seemed so sure. Now life is awful again. A trough full of hearts could only be a boy. A week in Paris, well, he's the pilot. All I care is to smile in spite of it. I'll forget you a week, while yet you are still burning inside my brain. Well, this is much stifling those who strive. I have a lush life in some dive in there. I'll be right with the rest of those whose lives are lonely too.
Yeah, man. Guys, Kaylene Peoples. Kaylene, Miss Peoples, do me a favor. Tell me about the musicians on that track, please. Let's start on who was playing brushes.
Okay, I'm not allowed to mention the names of the Brazilian players because they were in the union and they did this for like a song.
There you go.
But it is a trio. It's called Bossa Trio, and they are out of Portugal.
Serious.
And this was years ago when I did this song, and they were incredible. So I can't say their names, but it was part of the trio that was doing. I'm playing the piano.
Beautiful.
By the way. Rich Mauser is playing the guitar, and then, of course, the rest of it is a bossa trio.
Our agenda for today, see that segue, is all about what's happening on October the 14th. Let's talk about that again. This is called The Feast in Fusion, starring Cab, Bunny Brunel, Kaylene Peoples, Mitch Foreman, Julian Coryell, and Virgil Donati. At the Back Bay Bistro, sponsored or put together by NewportDunes.com. Ticketweb.com is where you can get the tickets. Guys, it's going to be a sold-out show, so do not be lax on this. Get part of this, because what you just heard, both sides, was in this little studio right here. But it's going to be with the full band, something that's going to be crazy. And I want the listeners itself to keep in touch with Jackie's Groove and Intertalk Radio, because we're going to be pumping the hell out of it the rest of the week itself. Doors open at 6 o'clock. Show starts at 7:30. It'll be a mix of feast and fusion, food, and great music. You definitely want to be at this. To get this type of music, these musicians under one roof in Orange County, it's unheard of. And we're proud to be part of it. So with that itself, let's continue on with this for a second itself, as this book is very heavy. Great photographs. Everybody else, agenda. I'm taking this copy home with me if you don't mind. So, and or one of them. So with that said, I want to jump back in here to both of you. You being the younger set and so on, I talked to Bunny about this before also, about the music business or the lack thereof. Streaming, stealing music. I said it again, guys. Stop stealing effing music. We're not doing this for our health. We're doing this because this is what we do. This is our livelihood. So with that said, and since music is, I hate to use this term, but purchase the music wherever music is sold. I've missed the saying about Tower Records or Virgin Records or Amoeba Music and so on. Will it ever come back? I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, we as older players, we're working extra hard because we're not selling albums. We're out there promoting itself. So I want to go back to you, Bunny. Do you understand the music business of today, and optimistic or pessimistic? Share with the listeners.
Well, there's a a lot of bad things about it, but there's a lot of good things. The fact that there is so much choice on the internet or whatever, people tend to want to see live performance more than they used to. A lot of live performance, and I think they're making signs desperately to.
I'm just blown out of the water because we're going by these segments like it's 5 minutes each segment. And I want to pick that up again, too, because
No problem.
there's so much more to talk about. How do you put a 40-plus year career and encapsulate it into a 2-hour interview? It just doesn't happen. And that's why the doors at Intertalk Radio will always be open to you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Anytime there's a promotion, that's what we're all about. And Kaylene, also back to you, girl. Whenever you need us, come to us. Actually come to Florentino, because he's the one, he needs more work on his plate. And we want to do that. So, and when we get back, I want to talk more in depth about this amazing Feast and Fusion happening October 14th, this coming Saturday. Guys, we'll get into it. Yes, I will beat it through your brains because you've got to be there. So with that said, guys, everything about music and you were afraid to ask, magazines and food, we'll get back to that right after this short break. Going into segment 4 on Jackie's Groove, I'm Jackie Bertoni, Intertalk Radio Network, Kaylene Peoples, Mr. Bunny Brunel. Guys, don't go anywhere. Right back after this short break. Stay tuned. Everybody, welcome back to Jackie's Groove. This is Jackie Bertoni, brought to you by Intertalk Radio Network with Mr. Bunny Brunel and also Miss Kaylene Peoples. Kaylene, when we went on the break, I was asking about, the types of music that you were, I use the term shoved down your throat, or stuff that, actually was inspirational to you. And so on, I think it reflects in your playing. But again, too, the type of music that you're choosing to sing is well above your age. And I mean that as a compliment. I mean, It's okay to be younger in age. I'm not going to ask your age. Mama raised me right. But the fact is you have old soul when it comes to music itself. Is there a type of music that Kaylene won't sing? And why?
You know, that's a really good question because at one point there was a type of music I would not sing. I wouldn't sing country.
Right.
I wouldn't sing hard rock. I wouldn't even sing gospel. But now, probably the only one I probably wouldn't sing is acid, like metal.
Of course.
Because I can do it all. Through the experience, I've had to perform just about every genre of music, including country. I found myself doing it. I did quite well at it. I was surprised. As long as it's, there's a type of music I won't sing.
Okay.
Bad music.
Because there's only two kinds of music. There's
Yeah.
good music and bad music.
Yeah.
We all learned that
Yeah.
growing up. So that's so cool. And so how much are we going to hear of you on Saturday? How many lead vocals are on the charts?
I'm doing 3 vocals. I'm doing Spain, which you heard earlier today.
Absolutely.
I'm doing a tune that I love by Diana Krall. Well, it's not by her, but she does a version of this song that I absolutely adore, and it's How Deep is the Ocean. It's
Beautiful.
a beautiful ballad. And then, of course, we're going to hear a song that I'm doing later in the show, One Note Samba,
Love it.
that I'm doing as a
love it.
vocal. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to move back to this because we're going to bring Bunny and Kaylene together. But right now, I'm going to go back to you, my brother. And
Well, I'm still here. So
you're not going anywhere. Not
No, I'm
quickly.
not going. I can't move here. You cornered me.
Absolutely. So with that said, man, do you want to go ahead and set it up right now? What we're going to be listening to, and will we hear this also live with the full band on Saturday?
I don't know if we're going to play that one yet, but I'm going to play over a song that I composed a while back called Dédé. It's dedicated to one of the greatest French drummer called Dédé Coryell. I grew up actually with, so amazing.
Beautiful.
From Nice. He's from Nice as well.
Beautiful. So if I can set it up, ladies and gentlemen.
He's one of those guys can sight read milk carton, as you say.
Yeah. Cool, man. So with that, guys, that said, please, Mr. Bunny Brunel and a song called D-Day. Enjoy. It's called Wow. Man, amazing. Hey, Bunny, I want to give credence to the bass, your bass line. You want to go ahead and give a shout out to the manufacturer, please?
All right. Well, this is manufactured by ESP. This is the Bunny Brunel LTD model. This is a fretless bass.
Yes.
You're not going to get it like this one because this is my daughter's hands.
Oh, I love it.
We did that one especially for me. So they have some great colors and things like that. And it's a design that I did originally for Gibson in 1986.
Really?
I did a Bunny Brunel Gibson, and there's few people who have some of them. We did that for 5 years, but they were not really manufacturing it and pushing it at all. You know, so I finally left the company, and I was offered by Carvin, you know, to make. So they made the bass, you know, but I was never. They did a killer job, you know. I mean, the quality of Carvin is really impeccable.
Right.
But they never really wanted to copy my the total shapes. You know, they did the general shape, but they had looked like a banana. That thing, you know, it was not what I really wanted. But and they wanted to have their all headstock, it's pointy, and it sounded great, played great, no problem. But that was not my design totally. You know, they kind of twisted it. Mm-hmm. The thing good with the ESP, I brought the Gibsons. And they just copied exactly the same thing. And what's great is just like you have the company called Hipshot that made you know, the same kind of Fender, you know, Fender pegs, but they made these smaller. So I was able to put 5 in a row, and I like it better. Because for me, the caricature of a bass is that look with that type of peg.
You dig.
So, you know, that's the thing. And I'm the first one who designed a bass in 1986 who had a longer horn to fix the balance. And when you put a Fender around your neck, it just
drop.
It's drop. This one, you leave it there, it stays there. Wherever you put it, it stays. So that was now all you know, all the good designer are doing that. You have behind me, you have somebody, I don't know his name, and he did you know, a long horn just for the balance, and he's right. You know, that's the way to do it.
Let me ask you a question for the guitar bass nerds out there that listen to our show, especially for today. Mm-hmm. What is the material on the fretboard, the neck itself?
Okay, this is like ebony, you know. So the body is alder, and on the one you buy, they have actually a veneer. You can look on the other one right there. You can look on this one. It's got a curly maple on it. And all that, and they have one like that. They have a blue one, transparent, and the 4-string is the same thing, but it's a kind of a darker, little, almost black. You know, it's very beautiful.
Can I go out and on a limb itself? I know we have a relationship with Pitbull Audio, one of our largest sponsors. Is this available through Pitbull Audio?
Yes, they do have it.
And that's pitbullaudio.com. Calvin Lee and the crew definitely goes. And if you wouldn't mind, what is the retail price on these pieces?
I think it's about between $1,200 and $1,500 maximum. I think it's 12 something. You know, that's around that price. And comparing to the quality with all through the body and all that, this is quite an amazing price.
And for those of you who aren't in this San Diego National City area, you can go into pitbullaudio.com and go to their page of products and search us out. And also too with Bunny Brunel. Bunny, I want to ask you this question on these pieces itself. Go ahead and give a shout out on the URL if you would be so kind. The website for the bass?
They can, you can check on bunnybrunel.com definitely, but espguitars.com they can find all the details. And I wanted to add it that the electronic and the pickups are from Aguilar.
Okay, cool.
This is Aguilar, So everything else, as I said, hip shot is the people who do the bridge and the mechanics.
Are you going to be at NAMM this year, 2018?
I'm always going.
Yeah,
at
number 4,
you know.
my 28th year. So it's
Yeah,
like
always. So no, but it's great because I see people that I see once a year. Say hello.
Yeah, man. We're very, very honored to be part of the NAMM organization and NAMM history. And those will be coming up, some ideas. And I have Dan Delfrey and Tino, the music historian from NAMM, coming on the show real soon. So look out for that. And also, too, check out NAMM and go to your Apple iTunes or Google and download the NAMM app. And you can actually search out ESP and such. From that.
They are usually on the second floor.
Yes.
The entrance, their booth is on the second floor, which is great because they can really see the instrument, and they have some live music, some great musician playing.
Yeah, man. I want just while we're doing this stuff, just like telling somebody what steak tastes like if you've been eating peanut butter all your life. Do me a favor, to the listeners out there that are not going to be in California on next Saturday, what are they going to miss? Brag.
Just great music from great musician, and it's great cooking as well. And by the way, I want to mention that if I'm preparing an entree, the big shrimp with with Armorican sauce, but I'm also doing a vegetarian, vegan, for people who don't want to call ratatouille niçoise. It's from the south of France. Ratatouille. They had that word. They had they had a movie on that. It was funny, Anyway, and I'm doing that as well, like that people can enjoy, if they don't eat meat or fish or whatever.
Right.
And that goes with the south of France type of wine called the Côte de Provence Rosé. This is a pink, but it's not sweet at all, like American pink. We never could drink that. It's very dry, and you drink it chilled, and you can even put an ice cube in it. It's the only wine you can do that in France, and you won't get shot.
There you go.
So
and let me ask this question itself. Being a master chef and being in Newport Beach, we're known to a certain level about our seafood, our fresh seafood, and so on. Will you be incorporating the fish from Back Bay, or are you bringing fish?
No. They're the one taking. They ask me. The chef. His name is Andy. It was really nice and very good. And by the way, if people don't want to order the entree they're making, they can order their food. It's
off the
fantastic.
menu also.
It's fantastic. All the food, the menu is great. And Andy just told him what I want, and he goes by the thing, and we're going to make it together, and have it going. That will be great.
Yeah, man, I want to thank Brian Ross for actually putting this together. And this is going to be, to me, amazing. This is the first time I've ever done this, in the way of hosting a situation, and I'm really, really excited and to see this again, no pun intended, the feast and the fusion of the food and the music itself. When the audience gets there, I say audience, I say people who are the cuisine lovers.
They should come at 6
o'clock.
Because they have a city ordinance, and the music has to stop at 10.
Yeah, curfew, folks, curfew.
But it's great. You come at 6 o'clock. Look at the menu, order something you like. If you like to order one of my entree, go ahead. But as I said, they have other things on the menu that are really, really good. There's really good cuisine over there. So it's going to be fun. They also have, if you don't want to drink rosé, they also have Beaujolais. They have a lot of Beaujolais, which is delicious, And Beaujolais is a light red wine that goes very well with the seafood as well. And the ratatouille, that all goes very fine.
Let me ask this question. Being French,
yes,
itself, what is your favorite food to eat?
Well, I like, my name is Bunny, so I like salads.
Okay, fair enough. And there's going to be a great salad on the menu also. I saw that itself.
So anyway, that's the idea. Is just I like everything. I really like the shrimp like that. I like salmon. I like fish. I don't really eat beef and stuff like that. But I could if I come to a place invited. That's all they have. I'll eat whatever it is because I'm not a vegetarian.
Right.
But I like all the food. Any food if it's well prepared. you know, I'll eat it. It's, you know, but I say usually I like to have a salad. You know,
Yeah,
so I'm a composed, you know, with you know, put cauliflower,
Sure.
you know, lettuce, endives, and you know, Belgium endive. I like to mix it up like that. So, but that's usually what I go for. But I always do, you know, I try to avoid because I love my favorite food is actually spaghetti.
Really?
But I cannot eat spaghetti. Just looking at it, I get fat.
Fat, exactly.
You know, but I love spaghetti. If there's one food I could only eat one thing, I would eat spaghetti. You know, I love spaghetti just with just butter and cheese. I just love spaghetti.
That's my wife's comfort
Yeah.
food, buttered noodles, you know.
Yeah, I love it. It's
Or
always
as
good.
Giada De Laurentiis calls it, spaghetti. I'll never understand that itself, and she's a friend, I can say that. So, with that said, you know, and so let's go back here back to the band. How long of a set are we looking at? We're starting at 7:30.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a break in between that? I can't imagine you're playing straight through.
Yes, probably we'll have a couple of sets. Yeah, probably, yes. We do two sets.
Beautiful.
So.
And is this for
Mr. Bunny?
Okay, this is because you were feeding your compassion right
Hopefully
there.
it's good.
Okay, you know,
Pass
so.
this out, Kaylene.
Kaylene, salute, Chintan. I don't drink, so I'm going to watch you guys get
very
buzzed
good.
right now.
All right, so.
And but I do want to
To
say
your health,
yeah,
darling.
from your lips to God's ears. Hey, you know, again, being the first off, if you will. What do you say?
This is nice, yeah.
Thank you.
Is it good?
I figured we'll be going on a little while. So,
Yeah, I like that.
nice, thank you.
a little informal sometimes.
Yeah, man. You know, and so based upon that, so we got the show starting at 7:30. We're going to take a break in between on the shows itself. Are you going to? You already have a set list set up for this right now?
Kind of, yes. This, you know, kind of.
Will you venture off the set list at all?
We're gonna start with the vocals, you know, with a ballad or something, because people will be eating. We don't want to
Blow 'em out of the water.
We want them to be able to digest, you know, a little bit, and then we'll play the heavier stuff after second set, you know.
Beautiful.
But it's gonna be, you know, as I say, I play rough jazz, so it's always a little edgy, you know. So.
Yeah, man.
And I wanted to finish the thing that we were interrupted. Was we were talking about the business, music business, what's happening? And we
Optimistic
got
or
into-
pessimistic?
Yes, exactly. You know, as I say, the problem is that people are downloading stuff, you know, for free on the internet, and the problem is the people pay $9, no, I mean, yeah, $9.99 a month, and they can stream anything they want. So people don't buy albums because they don't need to. So we end up paying more live, as I was saying. There is more live performance because people want to see real player playing, you know. And people are making money with merchandising, selling
They have to.
T-shirts, and then people buy the CD because they want the guy to sign it.
Yeah.
But the amount of selling has really went down really drastically on the sales of CDs, and I think CDs are going out. Like people are coming back to the vinyl because
Yes.
like you have a big piece and you have a beautiful art form in there and all that. But I think it's going to be just one of those little cards now. People, they're going to have something, they have a little card to put the latest album, and they would have a screen on the thing, and they can see the cover, and what, it's the CD is going out.
I say this over and over again to the millennials out there. There's something you kids are missing out there, and it's a thing called liner notes. It gives credence and kudos to the players. I'm not just talking about the musicians. I'm talking about the producer, the engineers, the person who did the artwork for the album, who did makeup. Who came up with the concept design of that. You got a lot of labels now on iTunes and other places you can purchase music. You can actually digital download liner notes, because I get excited. I missed that record release Tuesday when you would slide that piece of plastic
Yeah, and you
off.
kind of read the lines.
Hey, I didn't know Bunny was on this. I didn't know that Kaylene
Yeah,
was singing on this.
exactly.
And that's the cool thing. And will it come back? I hope so, man, because the millennials have never paid for music.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And it's a lost art. It's definitely a lost art. I was at Chicago recently, the group Chicago here in San Diego. They just celebrated 50 years, and they haven't missed a year of touring. And I asked Lee Loughnane, who I interviewed a couple of weeks ago, after 50 years, and these men are multimillionaires, and I said, "Why are you still doing it?" And his response to me was simple: "We love playing music." And during a trombone solo, and during it, Wilfredo Reyes Jr., who's the percussion chair, and Tris Imboden on drums, I texted him while I was in the audience, and I said, wow, you guys are pretty good. Do you have any albums out? And he responded, LOL, yeah, we have 36, but they're not selling for shit. Right? And he says, do me a
that's a
favor,
problem.
go out in the lobby and buy some T-shirts that are
Yeah,
now
exactly.
that are now $55. So, you know, it's like, and I buy music, and I buy music. I bought both of your records yourself. That's because I give it. People say to me, why did you buy the music? Why don't we'll send you a bot? No, because the bottom line is I understand what it takes in this business to make a living, and are we going to, I don't know, Florentino probably eating in the back, but I wanted to find out, are we going to be playing together with the two of them? Florentino, get your ass over here. Okay, and I wanted to find out exactly where we are because there's just too much right here that we've got to play. We got to get that. So I think we're going to go back in, and Florentino, how are we going to handle this right now? Are we going to bring in, or are we going to wait for the next segment for the two of them? Want to do it right now?
Yeah, let's go ahead and bring Kaylene.
Okay, Kaylene, are you ready, girl?
Will be. I have to turn
Okay,
the volume
let her
up.
get herself going here.
Mine's set
That's the
up.
beauty of live radio, and my friend itself.
Exactly.
And but again, it's worth it at twice the price, as they say. So, with that said, how you want to give a little mic check, and if you're
Yeah,
happy,
let me get a mic check.
and I want to go ahead and introduce the song.
I'm doing a tune by Antonio Carlos Jobim. It's called One Note Samba, and it is. And the arrangement is inspired by Herbie Mann, and this is the one song that Stanley Clarke said reminded him of Herbie Mann when he heard this tune.
Right. I always say, listen to the song, kids. It's going to be a hit one day, and it's one of my favorites also. So, Kaylene, let's have some fun, girl.
This is just a little samba built upon a single note. All the notes are bound to follow, but the roots still at root. Now this moon is the consequence of the one we just been through. As I'm bound to be the unavoidable consequence of you. There's so many people who can talk and talk and just say nothing or nearly nothing. I have used a bulb scale, I know that they did this nothing or nothing. So I come back to my first note, as I must come back to you. Anyone who wants the whole show, re mi fa sol la ti do. He will find himself with the new show. Better play that, don't you know? This is just a little samba built upon one single note. This is just a little samba built up on a single note. All the notes are bound to follow, but the root is still out. Now the new one is a consequence of what we've just been through. As I'm bound to be the unavoidable consequence of you. So many people people talk and they talk, this ain't nothing all in all. I used up every single note of the scale and I only sing one song. So I come back to my first note as I must come back to you. Anyone who wants the whole show, me my soul, la-dee-doo.
Bravo, clap, clap. Kaylene, amazing girl. Hey guys, you know what? I've got right next to me, I got the Yo Cat and I got the Yo Kitten right here in front of us. We're going to be joined by 3 more Yo Cats coming on Saturday. And, you know, if it's going to be a fraction of what this is coolness here, you can't miss this. You guys, go to Intertalk Radio, the Facebook page. We're giving away, there's a chance for you to win tickets to this amazing event on October the 14th. And also to, in my current video that I put up today, thank you very much for the views. Also go down to the link and you can click on amazing article from Agenda Magazine also. So we're going to have a blast, man. I don't know how much time we have left in this segment, gentlemen, but what we're going to do is when we come back, I'm going to have the two of you join together and do some great music itself. You know, I don't want to get on a political soapbox, if you will. We talked about the music business, the lack thereof, and so on. But Bunny, I want your personal opinion. And you've been through hell and back in this industry. But do you feel that there's a life left in music?
Well, yes, there is. As I say, the thing is just, you know, you have a lot of people who are doing like electronic music. Now, some of the new musicians are called DJs. You know, they are musicians.
Yeah, you got my fight on that.
And no, it's okay. You know, you gotta move forward. And I saw, it's funny because I saw it was I was playing in Sochi, you know, in Russia over there, and there was a guy who was doing opening up. He was with the DJ, who was doing something with rhythm, and the guy was playing the trumpet. on top of whatever the guy was doing. So there's always a way to mix stuff and come with something new, you know. So, and we just keep doing what we do. I mean, at least the fusion is something that even young people appreciate.
Yeah.
You know, they listen to some strange music, but I remember doing a concert like that. It was a Sunday afternoon. I was a band put together by Greg Errico. I don't know if you know Greg Errico. He used to be with the Sly and Family Stone, that drummer. Then he was with the Weather Report and all that. And we were playing in a gig, you know, with all kids in a Sunday afternoon. And then after playing, I had those kids coming to me and say, "Wow, we didn't know that we could play the bass like that." Yeah. So they loved it. You know, it's just they're not crazy. If they see somebody that really, you know, play something, they appreciate it. So the problem is just the whole music business. They used to be musicians. You know, you used to have like the big band was the popular music.
Mm-hmm.
My parents were dancing on the jazz tune with a big band and
Right,
all
right.
that. And then after a while, all those record companies, they put bean counters to take care of business that are not musicians.
Yeah.
And they start putting out, music, asking little kids what they want, and they don't understand that. I'm sorry, you are the teacher. If you play something on the radio and the television all the time, the kid's gonna love it.
Absolutely.
So why do you play garbage?
You know what? Can I interject on that one?
Please.
I did a concert. I have a private venue in Altadena, and it's a very intimate venue. And I very few people. I handpicked the guests.
And that's Southern California, Pasadena area.
Yeah,
Okay.
and there were some children in the audience, and the youngest was a 4-year-old, little 4-year-old girl. And I was doing classic jazz. We were doing a show called Stories and Standards from the Great American Songbook.
Very cool.
And after I had finished, the first set, because we did like a 2-set, the little girl jumped up on the chair, applauded like, and then said, "I love jazz." That's a little 4-year-old.
Yeah, dig.
And that's exactly what Bunny's saying. It's like if they just played
The right music.
the music,
Good
not
music,
just one
yeah.
type of music,
Yeah,
but
but
actually
good.
expose the world to other music. Little children, I couldn't believe it. That validated me. That was more important to me than any opinion of anyone.
And let me interject real quick. I always say through all of my interviews, 145, I believe, so far, I always say to the parents out there, don't force an instrument down your child's throat. Take your child to a music store, whatever's out there, the guitar centers and so on. Let the instrument call the child. But I also want to tell the parents out there, too, take your children to live music. That alone will open their ears, because now, going in our age group here, when you go to these big shows like Chicago and like Styx and Journey and so on, you're seeing 3 generations of children. You're seeing children of 3 generations, us, our children, and our children's children. And the cool thing about that, you look over in the corner, and there's a 10-year-old rocking out to Blue Collar Man, or and so on, and to all the songs made famous by Journey. And as I said last year, actually this year on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, we've been very, very blessed. Jackie's Groove, I've interviewed 14 people that have all been inducted into the Hall of Fame, and we're really, really excited about that. And we were very instrumental in Chicago's induction last year. And I said, in Facebook, I said, I felt compelled to post this because as I write this, my wife and I are watching the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Eddie Vedder, and so on. I said, and the reason why the music is more prominent and more upfront today is because, excuse my French, it's real fucking music, played by real fucking musicians and real fucking instruments. And that, my friends, will never go away. I say that so much, but I can't tell you how much it is. We've got to bring back. Styx celebrated the new album called The Mission, the first album in 14 years. They recorded it all analog. Michael McDonald's new album, September 15th, called Wide Open, recorded all analog and released on a 33, and so on. So, with that said, when you do your next album, and is there a next album coming back that you want to, or coming out that you want to share?
Well, I just did an album with Stanley Clarke called Baseball.
Never heard of them.
And we played all the tracks together, and we invite great bass players to play solos like
Yeah, we
Billy
talked
Sheehan.
about that on my last interview, yeah.
So I'm working on a new one, Baseball 2, because there's much more great bass players that to be introduced to the world.
Any younger bass players you're bringing in?
Yes, some young.
Share with us, can you?
I have right now, because we just started, I intend to have more people. I have one of my students, Kyle Eastwood, the son of Clint Eastwood. I had him playing the bass and the bass solo on one tune. And then I have a great Italian player, Federico Malaman. If you go to he always posts things on the Facebook. It's hilarious. The guy is really amazing bass player, but I love the sense of humor. The guy is very funny. And so I have him. He plays on one track, and I intend to have more people. I would like to have Jason Schaff to play. I would like to introduce people because, you know,
We
people
can
listen
help
to the
out with that.
music.
Yeah.
People listen to the music and all that, Chicago and all that. They don't understand that they have great bass player. There was one of my students as well for a while.
San Diego boy.
Yeah, San Diego boy. Then you have people like, you know, there's a bunch of guys that I taught, you know, the list is too long. I cannot. Marco Mendoza is one of those that is very
A
good.
beast.
You know, so
Yeah, man.
you know, you have so it's nice to have people listening to those. And I was able on the last baseball to introduce a lot of French bass player. One of my favorites, a friend of mine, Marc Berthaud, that is amazing, you know, amazing bass player. And now they have new ones, you know. We have I say new one is my age. You have Tony Bonfils, a really good friend of mine from Nice. So I made a song especially from Nice called Bay of the Angels, which is the name of the bay over there. And Bay of the Angels, sorry, I forgot to pronounce the S right there.
Okay.
So that's the name of, in front of Nice, you have a bay called Baie des Anges. That's the Bay of the Angels. And it's named because the fishermen used to fish little sharks that they call angels. That's why they call it like that. And anyhow, so I put all French musicians, the horn players, you know, French, you know, and I introduced some great bass player in there. One of them plays with Billy Cobham, is you know, and anyway, you got all those guys that. So I try to put, you know, people in front. I'm going to use a couple of more French on the next one, and there's other bass player that need to be you put, you know, on the map that people can say, oh, let's listen to these people. So that's what we're doing, and keep promoting that type of stuff because they cannot do that electronically anyway.
Can I put you on the spot?
I am on the spot, isn't
Okay,
it?
let me
With
put you
all
back
those
on the
lights.
spot. One question, one answer. Bunny Brunel's favorite bass player of all time.
You know, it's hard because, you know, as I told you, I started with Sam Jones and even Willie Dixon. And then I got turned on with, you know, I just say Eddie Gomez and Stanley Clarke. That was the main guy, and the main guys that, you know,
such different
showed me that I was
styles, though.
going in the right direction. But then you have Miroslav Vitouche with the bow and like fantastic. But then on the funk side, then all the bass players, especially at the beginning of James Brown.
Oh, of course.
You know, like you have Bernard Odom. I wanted to meet the guy. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple of years ago or something like that. But all those bass players, you have Duck Dunn, who just passed
Of
away
course.
when that was killed. That's the people I was listening. You know, Carol Kay, all those guys. You know, they came up with some amazing.
How about Rocco Prestia from Tower of Power?
Yes, as well. Rocco as well, and so many. You know, I love Paul Jackson of you know,
ridiculous.
Headhunter,
Yeah.
Headhunters, and I have a mix of things like that because what happened? I was kind of playing already, you know, up there. You know, I was already everybody knew like whoa, you know, the player. So when I listened to the other guys, I was already
There.
playing. Like for instance, one day a pianist friend of mine that my first album is with him, Daniel Goyon, came to my house, knocked on the door. I opened the door. He said, "Oh, listen to that. There's a guy playing just like you." And he had the album. It was Jaco Pastorius.
God bless him.
So I went to the thing, put it on. It was like, oh my God. And what I loved about Jaco, it was the melody, because I was already playing like a ballad of hell.
Right, right.
So that was not my thing. It was not listening to him playing solos. That's what I was doing already.
Right, right.
But what I like is the melody, the approach. That guy, that was like, oh yeah, let's play some melody now, you know, some melodies, you know, and that's what I got into. And it was funny because when I went with Chick Corea, 1978, the first song I was playing, as I told you, was Central Park, and there is a solo right there, and I started playing a solo, and the chick said, melody, play some melodies. And you can hear, always Chick, you can hear melodies when he plays.
Yeah.
That's his thing. So it really like reinforced my idea that, you know, you got to play some melodies, you know. You just cannot just play, just play something that people say, oh yeah, beautiful. And I end up being known as a melodic player because of these people telling me that, and thanks to all all this introduction with all those great, amazing bass players.
Yeah, I mean, I always say keep the music sexy, you know, and that's what's really good. And speaking of that, let's move over to you, Miss Peoples. One singer, your favorite, who and why?
Okay, she's not a jazz singer.
Doesn't matter.
Barbra Streisand.
Oh, of course, please, please. I mean, that doesn't even qualify. You know, as even in nobody can even walk in her shoes.
Yeah.
You know, Florentino and I have a very good friend of ours, Michael O'Neill, who is Barbara's guitar player. And on my interview with him, I had him on one of the segments take us from the time he woke up until showtime. And to find out that Barbara rather, just going to give you a little bit of information, she'd rather not sing to the audience, she'd rather talk with the audience. Kibitz, as she said. She's a homegirl. She hangs out with the band. She eats with the band. You know, and to see that legend is amazing itself. If you had, well, we all have, bucket list, deceased or alive, who?
As far as a singer?
Yeah, absolutely. Collaboration.
Because I've already met Barbara.
Right.
Oh my gosh, I've never been asked that question.
This is why I'm good, people. Okay, go ahead.
Asking question nobody
I
ever
know what's going to
answered.
happen. I'm going to be like, why didn't I say that person
That's
after
okay.
this is over?
Like Sarah Vaughan.
The person that I really wanted to meet passed away, and that's Al Jarreau. And I'm a female, however, I incorporate a lot of his style in my music. Doing Take 5.
Dig.
And his was, you know, I used a lot of his style on that particular. I love him. Honestly, that man is incredible. So I would say Al Jarreau.
You know, I'd like to introduce you to another great singer, friend of Al's. His name is Phil Perry.
I know Phil Perry. He's in my magazine.
There you go.
He's
Okay.
going to be in the November issue, by the way.
Yeah, he was at my home.
Yeah.
And we
Oh,
sat,
wow,
yeah,
okay.
and he sat in Al's chair in our living room. And he goes, I'm a little bit nervous sitting in Al's chair.
Wow.
And it was kind of a double meaning, the fact I said, you're not going anywhere, my friend. Because at that time, we didn't know Al had taken ill,
Yeah.
you know, and so on. The band in heaven is a mother trucker, people. And I hope they're not looking for a 57-year-old bass percussionist, a bass player, or a young singer anytime soon. So, I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing what we have to be grateful for,
Yeah.
because it's pretty freaking cool what we do for a living. And even more so if we can make a great living doing it and exposing the different sets from the 4-year-old girl that stood up and applauded you. And you got the satisfaction. You got the accolades from somebody that is just starting into the business. And again, I want to extend the invitation again to everybody out there. It is this coming October 14th, Saturday, at the Back Bay Bistro, Newport Dunes, newportdunes.com, Jackie's Groove, Intertalk Radio, with Cab, Bunny Brunel, Kaylene Peoples, I'm ready to sneeze there for a second, Virgil Donati, Mitch Foreman, and Julian Coryell. You guys don't want to miss this, because if it's this good to you right now, imagine with 3 more people playing, and that and a full stomach to boot. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you have one more track to play?
No more track to play, but I wanted to thank you very much for everything.
brother, please.
And I don't know that French word you used several times. That's French adjective you were using.
you mean the
like,
José Blandi François?
No, you were saying, excuse my French.
Oh yeah, I understand. Yes, thank you. I don't know why they threw it on you guys itself. And by the way, José Blandi François is for my mother-in-law, which means nothing. But her dialect is there, and so on and so forth. Are we gonna bring this all together, kids?
We're gonna end it up.
All right, guys, thank you so much, Bunny. Thank you, my brother,
Thank you
for
very
being
much.
part of this. Thank you for gracing our studios. Miss Peoples, thank you so much. Guys, Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Intertalk Radio Network, into all things music. Again, jackiesgroove.com, intertalkradio.com, newportdunes.com, ticketweb.com. Please, tell us you're going to show up. Again, go online, win some tickets. If you don't win, come out of pocket. It's the best money and the best time you'll have with your clothes on, I guarantee you that. So with that said, guys, this is Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, Thank you to my team very much for putting this together.
Thank you.
And my hip is killing me, so I'm going to get up, use the boys' room, and I'm going home. So with that said, guys, God bless you. And as I say always through all my productions and all my broadcasts, peace through music. God bless, guys. Godspeed. Cool.
Still I know our eyes often meet. Heart and tingles down to my feet. When you smile, that's much too discreet. Sends me on my way. It'd be better not to be so polite. You could offer a lie. Start a little conversation now, it's alright.